A pair of new reports from the Bank of Canada point to rising inflation expectations by Canadian businesses and consumers. The central bank's Business Outlook survey found businesses' expectations for near-term inflation have increased, and firms also expect inflation to be high for longer than they did in the previous survey. The bank's Canadian survey of consumer expectations indicates expectations for inflation have also risen, with worries about prices for food, gas, and rent. And the rising cost of food is having an impact on the way Canadians spend their money. A report released by Food Banks Canada last month indicated that 1 in 4 Canadians are eating less than they believe they should because of inflation. Well, joining us now to tell us more about these rising prices and what you can do to get the nutrition you need without breaking the bank is Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, Senior Director of the Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University. Dr. Charlebois, welcome back to Forum Daily.
Oh, thank you.
So let's start with which food products are being impacted most by inflation?
Well, right now the dairy section is a problem. We're seeing prices increase by as much as 10 to 15%. Bakery actually has been a non-story for a few years. Prices are going up there. The meat counter is actually not too bad. Some prices have actually dropped in recent months, but they remain quite high. The center of the store as well, I would say, really, we're seeing prices for processed foods increasing quite significantly due to transportation costs.
And we know these rising prices are connected with the war in Ukraine, and there's also the impact of the pandemic, supply chain issues, and more. So how long can these rising prices continue in Canada, Doctor?
Well, so we're getting close to a peak situation. So prices are still increasing, but we're seeing signs that things are slowing down a little bit. Supply chains are getting better. They're becoming more efficient, and commodity prices have started to drop, which is probably going to ease some pressure across the food system. So we are expecting perhaps to peak sometime either in July or August, which is actually good news. So we're going to start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will.
Well, that's good to hear, Dr. Charlebois. Now, I want to jump to the survey from Food Banks Canada. 1 in 4 Canadians are eating less than they believe they should. Is this a sustainable way to live during inflation, Dr. Charlebois?
It's tough, absolutely. So a lot of us are fortunate. We will have enough money to feed ourselves, to feed our loved ones, but many people are being left behind. At 10%, the food inflation rate is quite violent for a greater number of people. We are expecting the food insecurity rate to increase in Canada, unfortunately, for two reasons. One, the cost of food has gone up, but also there's less food diverted towards food banks because we're trying to rescue food as people, and of course companies are also trying to rescue food. So food waste is dropping, but at the same time there's less food given to food banks.
And staying on that note, Doctor, we know the lowest income households are going to be the most affected by these rising prices. So what steps can such households take to ensure they have enough food for their families?
Well, so first of all, eat what you buy as much as possible. There are apps out there you can use to rescue food as much as possible. They're available anywhere in Canada, and those apps would include apps like Food Hero, Flash Food, Too Good to Go. Those are really popular apps. Allows you to actually have access to food that are at a discount, and I'm talking 30, 40, sometimes 50% off on meat and dairy products. So those sales are pretty significant. So I would take advantage of that. And of course, if you go to the grocery store, make sure you know exactly how much you should pay for certain items on your list, because if you don't, then you're likely to spend way more money than you should.
All right, Doctor, just about 30 seconds left here, but are there any steps that our officials can take to support Canadians when it comes to food prices?
Well, obviously, taxes are a big issue right now. I think I would focus more on the revenues side of things. Cost prices are prices, but On the revenue side, I think it's time for us to have a conversation around a guaranteed income for citizens in Canada. And of course, taxes on processed foods are certainly something that we need to look into as soon as possible.
Dr. Charlebois, always great having you on Forum Daily. Thank you again for your time today.
All right, take care. Bye bye.